tips to find joy in all that you do. If you're in a situation where there is no joy, or where there's a wee bit too much discombobulation and have tos and oh my gods, maybe it's time to just put your hands on your heart and remind yourself that you are seen, you are beloved, you are enveloped in this beautiful, loving energy that we are all a part of. I think that's my first tip. I'm sort of saying that to Deb.
Then she's had that means I'm handing it to you now, Deb. I missed that
I'm
part.
like, I've been blah 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 and thought, oh gosh, I should involve you in this conversation.
I actually smiled because when you were doing that beautiful heart exercise this morning, the heart grounding, I started going, everything she's saying, if we bullet point that, that's a tip to find joy in all that you do.
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome, dear Deb.
Hi.
I knew you were going to do something.
La, 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 la. No
welcome,
singing.
Welcome. Welcome. Here we are with another one of our deliciously motivated mindset podcast conversations. And this is going to be a really festive, fun one. We're going to be talking about top tips to find joy in all that you do. So whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, or Hanukkah or not, I just found out that Christmas and Hanukkah fall on the same day this year, which is kind of
wow.
Kind
How
of
often is that?
Not very often, because Hanukkah follows the cycles of the moon, whereas Christmas is always on the same calendar date. So I just thought that was kind of auspicious. Find joy in all that you do.
So that's a cute one. That's good. There's a little double whammy for that.
Yeah,
for people.
Absolutely. But before we start getting into sharing our top tips, I just want to, and the last couple of episodes we've been doing this idea of bringing us into heart coherence. I think that when we live in times of discombobulation, because let's just face it, there's discombobulation and strangenesses all over the world.
She's looking at me. She's strangeness all around the world as I'm putting moisturizer on my face.
Moisturizer on her face.
I've got white lumps on there. It's just as you said strangeness around the world. I'm like, yes, I'm on the other side of the world, and I do look like I've got white lumps as I'm putting moisturizer on.
Because that's strangeness all around the world.
The strangeness on its own.
But what feels really lovely is, regardless of where you are and when you're listening to this, it's such a empowering it's an empowering activity to do, and to just set the intention that we can actually connect our heart energy, and it's always there. So what I'd like you to do, and we're just going to do a really quick one just to help you see how quick and easy this type of thing is. So what I'd like you to do is just feel your feet. Feel your feet connected to the earth, to the floor, and intend that your feet are sending roots down into the core of the planet. Good. Just breathe into that. Take a deep breath in. Breathing Mother Earth, nature, energy up through your feet, all the way up to your heart space. Just pause there. Maybe even put your hands over your heart, just to acknowledge that, bringing the beautiful, nurturing energy up from Mother Earth into your heart. Good. And then breathe out. And now just take your awareness to whatever your concept is of source energy, of spirit, of creator, of the universe. and breathe that down into your physical essence, down through your crown, all the way down into your heart. And just pause there for a moment. Let that fill you up, connecting. So you're connected to the universe, to creator, to this great spirit, to whatever that is for you. You're connected to Mother Earth, and both energies have co-mingled at your heart. And now what I'd like you to do is to just breathe into your heart space. And now as you breathe out, set the intention that your energy is going out all around the planet, all around the planet, co-creating this beautiful matrix or blanket of loving energy. Just see that in your mind's eye. Good. Now breathe that energy back into your heart. Just putting your energy stamp on it, and now breathe it out. And that's it. That's how we connect into that grid, that matrix, that beautiful, universal, loving energy that's always there. Now, when you're not listening to me guiding you through something like that, all you need to do is put your hand on your heart and breathe into it. And you can also ask for any form of nurturing, comforting, soothing, calming energy. It's always there. You just got to remember to tap into it, which is actually a beautiful way for us to start into these ideas about tips to find joy in all that you do. If you're in a situation where there is no joy, or where there's a wee bit too much discombobulation and have tos and oh my gods, maybe it's time to just put your hand on your heart and remind yourself that you are seen, you are beloved, you are enveloped in this beautiful, loving energy that we are all a part of. I think that's my first tip. I'm sort of saying that to Deb.
And then that means I'm handing it to you now, Deb. I missed that
I'm
part.
like, I've been blah, 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 and thought, oh gosh, I should involve you in this conversation.
I actually smiled because when you were doing that beautiful heart exercise this morning, the heart grounding, I started going, everything she's saying, if we bullet point that, that's a tip to find joy in all that you do. I was just like, there's a tip, and there's a tip, and there's a tip. And just breathing and having that, certainty in yourself. There was all those, and I was like, oh, there's a tip. Oh, there's a tip.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So I didn't write them all down, listeners. Grab your note-taking device.
Yes, do grab your note-taking advice. But maybe the synopsis of that, and I referenced this technique as your heart coherence. So maybe you need to remind yourself there is this thing called heart coherence, and you can step into it.
Yes, and
right?
I think even just that, even if you started writing your notes from when I joined in the conversation, but prior to that, you feel those little notes, because that's a different way of taking notes as well, is actually just listening, being present, and feeling. So choose what works for you. But what Moira said, there was so many golden nuggets through that whole process, hand on heart. And one of the things I loved is one of the things she didn't actually say, but came up when I was hearing it. Well, she might have said it, I don't know. Is actually a tip, because I'm like, is ask for help.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So you might have said it, but I wrote it down anyway. So
no, I did say that because it's to ask, even if you're asking that energy for help. That's kind of where I was coming from with that.
Oh, okay.
If you're feeling wobbly, right, you can just place your hand on your heart and then maybe call up a visual of that matrix or that blanket of love and say, I need help, I need calming, I need soothing, I need balancing. And that's it.
So even that ask for help is either to ask yourself or somebody, or Debz and Moira, clearly.
Obviously.
But ask for somebody internal, but you can also ask for help within yourself. So that was when one of the things I was thinking was asking for help. And The next one I'm actually going to say, oh, yeah, I'm not. See, Deborah's taking over now. The next one I'm going to say is celebrate. No two ways go the same. Is celebrate life.
Yes.
And if you want joy, no matter what joy is for you, what it looks like today for you might be something different. It gives you any of that stuff. If you're looking for joy, is celebrate life. Be thankful, appreciate what you have, appreciate what you don't have, but celebrate that you get this opportunity to listen to this podcast, take notes, whether in your head or manually on your hand or in a note-taking device, whatever those things are, but actually celebrate. You celebrate that you're here and you get to experience something that some people don't. And I
Yes.
think that's not comparing you to other people, but celebrate what you have.
And I think it's so easy to flip that switch, to celebrate. Maybe if you've got a whole bunch of things to do, like we're talking, we're bringing this to you as we are stepping into the Christmas celebration. And so sometimes we can forget that this is a time for joy, particularly if you get too many or have to get this done and have to get this done and have all these presents to buy and the decorations to do and the shopping and the cooking and the sometimes
And I
that can
can't even
be
think.
like,
It's
yeah,
overwhelming. It's just, I can't even think about myself. I've got to wrap presents. I've got to do this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
do I have
So,
enough? Like it
right,
goes into crazy.
I know, but right there, if we can just pause, maybe that is a time to put your hand on your heart and say, look, I get to do this. This brings me so much joy that I get to do these things, as opposed to allowing yourself to step into that frenetic blah, 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 right?
And it
That
is,
will rob you of joy.
it's a discombobulation train track that goes fast and derails.
Exactly. Listen to you discombobulating.
Throw that word in there. Got my little goosies, yeah. As
But
long as that's
it
not my word theme for 2025, thanks. Please don't, universe. Yeah.
no, no. But you
Mm.
see, maybe, and this is a really important part about finding joy in all that you do. If you're missing it, maybe it means that you're not allowing yourself to really stay present to what is, right?
Mm.
And the tips that we shared so far about the ask for help, celebrate life, be thankful, appreciate, using words like I get to, all of those kind of help you get out of your crazy making thinking
Mm.
and allows you to go, oh gosh, my head was going, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do it. But when I stay present, look, I get to do this and it feels wonderful. I feel so in flow. I feel in balance and ease and joy, basically. Right?
Yeah, and I was just saying present and poised, and you can actually you talk about the in the eye of the storm.
Yeah,
And I love that because when you're in the eye of the storm, it's a different place to be. You can see things happening around you, but you don't have to partake in them. You can just
exactly.
see. And I think that's when I get to do this or I get to choose to do this. But when you're present and poised, you can see things a lot clearer because we know when you're running a marathon, when you're running a marathon, you can't think of other things to do. You've got to focus on where you're going, one foot in front of the other, not I've got to do this and got to do this.
Yeah.
So I think that present and poise and that grounding, that beautiful exercise that Moira showed us right at the start is definitely something that's going to bring joy to you. And you may start it with, I don't know if this is going to work, and
It's
and
too,
that's
yeah, this is too simple, too easy.
yeah, exactly. This
I
is
can't do it.
too simple. This is too you know those ones. Oh, I can do that. That's really easy. But it is when you go back and it just pulls you back to your heart. Now your heart is full of joy when
Yes.
we choose to give it that life spark. But yeah.
Well, to me, I think your heart is always full of joy. It's just that unfortunately, we get too caught in our head,
Mm.
right? Which
Yeah. Our
reminds me,
clouds roll over.
yeah, it gets and it derails us. It just reminded me that saying that reminded me of you've heard me do this before, of my favorite tea
Oh
bag
yes. Love
has
tea
these
bag. Yes. Yes.
So this one today, I just had a cup of tea before we got on this. It said, may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Oh,
Isn't that epic?
oh, oh,
That
I
so
love
belongs. That so belongs in this conversation.
that's joy.
It is. That's why I had to just fish this out because I thought, oh, I just read this. Isn't that beautiful? May your head and heart speak with one voice. And like you
Oh,
say, that's where joy is. Because if you only listen to your head, chatter, 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 oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you're not calibrating and bringing that into alignment to realize joy is always here. It's always
yeah.
here. And I've got my hand over my heart as I say that.
It is, we get on these trains and these crazy ass trains, discombobulated trains, and it's just like there's nothing in there, there's nothing in there, there's nothing in there. I love that. Oh, I love
Isn't that
that.
awesome?
May your heart speak with one voice. It just that you know what? That just sums up. That's your one tip for the whole
That's the
podcast.
whole one.
It does. It just sums it up. And you
Yes.
can, and you know, when you think about that, you think about stress. May your head and heart speak with one voice. When you think about confrontation, may your head and heart speak with one voice. When you
Yeah.
feel you've got a medical condition, something, may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Yeah.
Like it
Like
just
that can apply to absolutely every form of discombobulation or fear or worry or anxiety. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just well, there you go. There's your tip for the day, and we're
Well,
over and out.
don't you love the synchronicity of the universe that landed
Teabag.
in that of all
And
quotes that I like on my tea bags?
and
There's
it's a
that one.
bloody tea bag. It's a tea bag. I love that. I love that. I think yeah. Okay, I love that. Where were we? Yeah, okay, I like that one.
It's a beautiful one. But I'm just thinking back to kind of we were interweaving Christmas celebrations into this too. What does like you share, what would you say? What is your favorite joy-filled activity? Like what brings you joy at this time of year, Deb?
Um well see, it's actually quite funny because joy's not a word I like. I just have to say that. I just have to
Well,
go to
gosh,
and
look at that.
I know it's not that it's not a word I never used to like it. It used to be, you know, because I have these trigger words, everybody. We know that
Yes.
Deborah has a word like
Yes, we know
boundaries.
this. We know this.
Like boundaries.
Yeah,
But
we talked about that last week or the week
joy
before.
is a word that's I've heard and I've just rolled my eyes and I've gone, oh. And I think and I've tried to pick it out. I've tried to pick it out and I don't know what it is. But if I break down the word joy,
Mhm.
if I break down the word, it's just fulfillment to me. And
Okay.
and it's so joy is a word my partner's sister's called Joy. So if she's listening, thanks very much. But it's definitely a word that I just do not like. I don't know why. I've tried to figure out what it is and I just can't figure it out. So when I say joy, to me, it's fulfillment and it just lights me up and it's that spark, makes me put my shoulders back. That's it. So even though I say top tips to find joy in all that you do, you can feel it though. It's one of those words that you can actually feel. And I
It
think
is a
that's
feeling, absolutely. Yes.
because you picture it and you can see it and you can feel it. But for me, it's what lights me up. And I talk about my glitter all the time, I'm leaning in telling Moira, like Moira doesn't know that I talk about glitter, but
I
it is
know.
it's it's my glitter. It's what lights me up, and that is whether it goes outside. It
Mhm.
goes outside. I go outside, or if it's I stay inside, or if I drink my cuppa in a different cup. You know, it's just
Mhm.
something that lights me up and gives me a little spark through the day. And all those little sparks actually are the joy, are
Yeah. Yeah.
that the bigger picture
Mhm.
spark. But they are the little stuff. But for me, it's what lights me up.
And,
That's
and I like that. Actually, Christmas lights. I just thought of Christmas lights when you're saying what lights you up? Christmas
yeah,
lights.
lights you do.
But I put that over to our listeners too. If you have some form of resistance about this idea of joy, maybe you need to do a little bit of riffing like Deb just did about what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
For me, it's I actually do really like the word joy, but what it's describing to me is a massive yes in my heart, a
Mm.
little sense of skipping and playing and lightheartedness and fun and like it spawns immediately the, oh, look what I get to do, or what I get to experience, or what I get to immerse myself into. There's a sense of fun and play and flow and ease
Mm.
and things. All of those kind of pieces to me embody that whole sense of joy is a feeling, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mhm.
And well, that'll be in one of those. I only just recently watched the episode one of those that feeling movie
Oh
with
yes, I
the
love that movie.
there was a girl on there, Joy. I only watched the first one. I haven't watched the second one. The second one's come out, but I only just watched the first one a
Mhm.
few months ago. So I'm way, way, way behind. But they've got joy in that, and I think it's recognizing that just a word. It's just a word. It's just a word, and what it means to you, what it means to Moira is could be different to what it means to me, which could be different to what it means to you, listener, which could be different to what it means to you, our listener's partner, or your colleague, or anything. So knowing that stuff allows us to just go, oh, okay, it's just a word, and what does it mean to me? No, one size doesn't fit all, if that makes
So
sense.
I like that it does. So I like that because actually from this I've taken two tips.
Oh,
Number one is you find your definition. So define joy. What does it mean to you? And
yeah.
then very quickly on the heels of that one, the tip is don't compare yourself to others.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
you hear Deb's definition of joy, or you even hear that Deb's saying she doesn't really like that word.
You're triggered by Deborah not liking that word. Well, thank you for hanging in there. Thank you. I'll just tell you that because that could be when you're like, I live for joy, and Deborah's just said I don't like it.
Yeah.
So thank you for hanging in and listening and back this. I just Okay, carry on, Moira.
But this is the reason that I like to, I've been enjoying bringing us into heart coherence, because then we allow ourselves to stay present to, maybe we use languaging in words that you kind of go, oh, that one triggers me or bothers me, or I don't like that. Feel it, feel the impact behind it, and allow yourself to, you know, take on the pieces and the tips that resonate and discard anything that doesn't,
Yeah.
right?
I think yes, and it's moving on with grace and ease. It's
Yeah.
not sitting stuck, going over and over. It's just like, okay, and now we move. And now we move. And now we move. Evolution. Yeah.
Well, but also is to, I find for myself, is to just have an engaged, interested perspective. So when
Yeah.
Deb tells me that there's words she doesn't like, I don't get offended or compare myself to her at all. I simply go, well, that's interesting. Let me
I love
tell me more.
this as well, because every second podcast there's a word in there that I go,
Yeah, true that. True that.
the podcast wouldn't last. But I think it's just knowing that that's just a word. I think that love that. But I love that don't compare to others, because we do get it. Like you can look at them and go, wow, look what they're doing. Like that's inspiring, or whatever. But
Mhm.
just be aware of what stirs up within you.
Yeah.
Oh, what makes them think that they can do that, or any, like if that's turning you into that ugly person, I'm gonna say that
Yeah.
ugly person,
Yeah.
then you really, it's time to pull back. But if you can just smile and adjust someone's crown and carry on and go, wow, they get this opportunity to do this. This is phenomenal for them.
Mhm.
I know how they've worked for this. Like if you're celebrating that, we talked about celebrate life. If you're celebrating them as well, that's a beautiful place to be, and that's joy. But
Yeah.
if you're going on, what makes them think that they can do this and this crazy as train, it's going to it's an ugly place to be for your soul and for those around you as well.
But that might be a little nudge from your inner wisdom saying, hey, psst, take a pause
Oh,
and
definitely.
get
It's not a
present
runaway from it.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, but I'm just thinking, because sometimes, moods come and go and conversations come and go and thoughts come and go. Um, but it to have a light hold to just say, okay, I like to
Mm.
think of this, the idea of finding joy in all that you do. one of my favorite questions, and you guys have all heard me say this one before, how does this make me feel about me? So how does, attending this gathering or doing this tradition or not doing this tradition, how does it make me feel about me?
Yeah.
And so interesting. So my Christmas this year is going to be extremely different from what I'm used to. And so it's very interesting, this idea of tradition for me, because there's going to be a lot of tradition happening for me this year. But there's one that I almost didn't do. And then I kind of gave myself a little pause, checked in with my heart, and realized that it had to happen. And so as I navigate this, I think it's so important to pause and be willing to perhaps let some things go, but then also, are there things that is really, really important to hold on to? This is it. And so I can't tell you, you have to do it this way, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, where's your flow, and what does it make you feel? So what does it make you feel like choosing to do things in this way, or choosing to do things the way it's always been done, or changing things up? How does it make you feel? Right?
Yeah, and I think the beautiful part for that, when you were saying that, is don't hold on to if things are changing for you, it's time to let go of the old,
Yeah.
And evolve with it. Now you can go back to it next year or something, but sometimes it's easier just to let it go and just flow and give it a go, give it a chance. Don't shut that door, and I think about people who, this is me this morning. This is my head this morning. Moira's like, oh, where are we going?
Oh.
But I think about people who are in prison.
Okay.
And Moira's like, oh, here we go. And I was thinking about if they've been in prison for so long and then they come out and then they've got to adapt to having email addresses or internet. And the only reason I say prison is because if they've been away for so long, they won't have, I'm suspecting, I don't know, they won't, my little brain
Your
goes,
way of thinking.
yeah, definitely, because if you've been locked away for so long, you won't know about emails or any of that sort of stuff, and you've got to have an email for this, you've got to have identity, all those sort of things. So they have had to adapt now. And but they've had to adapt and move into the times. So this is about us, is about adapting and moving into times. Now, I'm not comparing everybody to people who are in prison, but I'm just saying they actually really had no choice. It's like old people here in New Zealand, old people. We've taken away checks now. You can't write a check.
Right.
So I've got that overseas, but people can't write checks. So people used to write their checks for their power, older people, and now they can't. So they have to go to the bank to do it because they don't have they can't do phone or internet.
Right.
So they have to go to the bank, and some of the banks are all shutting down. So they've got to go on a bus for an hour to get to the bank.
Oh, goodness.
I know. So, but there's the joy in that because they're definitely finding people who can help them do that. But our times are changing. So you either get on the boat or you don't. And if you don't, it's a lot harder to move. I guess that whole 4 or 5 minutes of me explaining is trying to say, keep moving. I can sum that up.
Yeah.
But I want to give some examples of that because we have to move. We have to move with these times, whether you like it or not. The universe is moving us, so we move. We can decide we can take a 10% of what we used to do and bring it in or whatever. You're still not going to lose you in these times. It's finding out what lights you up, what joy is that to find in all that you do.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
But I do know with the older people, there's a lot of people now who are offering to pick up older people and take them to the bank and do that. There's still that legality of them standing over you. So, but there's people actually helping other people. They don't want people
Beautiful.
stuck. And I
No.
think that's the joy. Yes, we've had to change, and yes, you have to do more in your day, and got to take you that. But with there's joy coming from the government's decisions or the bank's decisions. Is that you know what I mean, Moira?
I
Can you
do.
sum that up?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I do, because I like what you just said, because and we have that kind of situation here in Canada, where so much is electronic. And then of course we have the Canada Post strike, which just completely
yeah.
discombobulates a lot of stuff that was happening paper
We just
paper
had that
trail
here.
wise and
Yeah.
checks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important for us to remember that we collectively, each one of us, every one of us on this planet at this time, we are part of this climate,
Evolution.
this flow. And to the degree that we get all resisty and, oh, this sucks and this is terrible and this is, and shake our fists and stuff, by the way, there's no joy there. But it's an energy drain, as opposed to coming into a situation kind of say, well, this isn't my choice, or this isn't my preference, but it's here. And so now I'm going to flow and take the steps that I need to. So to your point, I love what you just said about needing to adapt and change, like keep moving. And so the more, when we keep moving, even if it's tiny, tiny, tiny baby steps, we're in flow. And we get to we actually do find joy. I've said that before, about getting caught up in traffic and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be late. And not, well, I just surrender to what joy is around me.
Yeah, and I think that, and you see, even that stuff can throw us, because life can throw us out. Like life or anything can throw us out, but having that spark, having that opportunity to look at things, is that celebration. That's what gets us through.
Yes. But you see, the key piece is in this is to acknowledge our power, right? Because when we acknowledge our power, this is that whole piece around, is your glass half empty or half full? Well, my glass is always exactly the right state, because I choose it to be, right? But so never to the point where you're complaining or being bitter or adding to the turmoil around you. It's just kind of like, okay, there is turmoil. There is turmoil and tribulation and trauma and suffering and chaos and discombobulation. It's there.
I think
And
that's
I
the
don't
thing,
need to feed it.
but it's how you want to partake in that role.
Well, that's my point. I don't need to feed it.
Yeah.
I can just say, yeah, it's there. I'm not sticking my head in the sand and pretending it's not there, but I'm not adding to it. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is wrong, because it just is. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, and I love that, and I mean, even just when Moira said acknowledge our power, that just on its own is one powerful tip.
It is.
Power, like that's it, and no matter what goes on around us, when we sit with acknowledging our power, we become an evolved person, and we're not stuck. Yeah.
No, it's about taking ownership, or I like to think of it as authorship. You get to craft your life story always.
Yeah, and that moves, that nothing is permanent. Like also
Yes.
reminding ourselves that nothing is permanent. Everything can be moved when we choose to.
When we
And
choose to.
and if things aren't moving the way we like it, it's up to us. But reminding ourselves that nothing is permanent.
Yes. And so if nothing is permanent and you find yourself saying things like, I don't like the state of my Christmas tree, or I don't like the state of what's happening in my home or around me, or with the way I'm celebrating or not celebrating the holidays, if you're doing that, then it's time to take ownership and say, well, actually, I choose to change this. And that's why, going back to that piece about power, because you can literally change something from being a downward spiral or a stress or something you don't like, and then acknowledge that the other end of the spectrum is there. So what does light you up? What does bring you happiness, peace, calmness, ease?
I think it's reminding us that this is our life to do what we want. And if you want to sit and sulk, or you want to sit and feel and you want to do this, that's okay. That's okay, but you don't recruit other people into your storybook.
Into your paradigm. Yeah.
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 You know, when we talked about don't compare it to others, we don't have to jump into theirs. They don't have to jump into ours.
Yeah.
And you know, I know just what we're talking about now. If you've listened to us before, we talk about our PEMS, our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I think that's a great tip here now, is to do these top tips to find joy in all that you do. If your PEMS is out of order, if your physicals, if you've eaten too much, if you've eaten $500 worth of pasta, you're going to feel differently than
Oh gosh.
I know. I don't know where I jump. Usually I say $300 worth of pasta, but like if you're going to eat a shite load of pasta, you're going to feel different. Unless you're you're going to feel different to somebody who just eats salad. Like 100%. I'm not saying don't eat pasta. I'm not saying don't eat salad or eat salad. I'm clearly not. What I'm saying is just be aware that your PIMS will take you out of order. If you've had a poor sleep, you're going to react differently. So you may need a couple of extra pick-me-ups for your joy because of that sleep you've had or whatever it is. But often, you know, I start my day with gratitude. So PIMS is your go-to. Just acknowledge your PIMS. And I was just moving into my next tip was gratitude. Start your day with gratitude, end your day with gratitude. I know we talked about celebrating life, but if you can just go, what am I thankful for when I woke up this morning? Or what am I thankful for that I've gone to bed with? Because this is joy in all that you do.
It is, yeah, 100%.
Allowing your day to shut down and move into a different space when you're sleeping, or wake up with a different spark.
But that fosters that ability to say, I get to do this. It's when you're immersing yourself in what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? But you know, just to go back to your tip about the checking in with your PEMS, your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. This is when things are off, you know, like Deb's saying, you're overeating, like that's a gross amount of pasta, but
so I think I'm gonna have to eat pasta lately. I'm gonna have to crave pasta.
Maybe
not that much.
But my point being is that we look after those 4 pillars of our well-being as a compassionate self-love. So if you're not finding joy because something's out of whack with your own self-care in your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, then it's time to find more joy-filled love, self-love, self-soothing, self-compassion, to say, I deserve this. I'm worthy of me looking after myself as a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, right? And that helps bring more joy.
Totally it does. I think, look, you've got to listen to me. Look, when the word look comes, look, remember, you're human. You're having human experiences in this human world.
Yep.
Whether you like it or not, feelings are feelings. They wake you up to pulling you back to what's important to you. They are a gift. Acknowledge them. Don't run away from everything, because there's some beautiful stuff that's happening around us, joy that's happening around us, and it can, when you're focusing on the joy, so that's the other things. When you're focusing on the joy, when you're really, really busy, how am I going to put this? When you're really, really busy, the time actually disperses. You don't even know you've just done 4 hours of doing an exercise of some sort that's super inspiring. You don't even know.
Right.
And other people might be a bit like that. But when you're focusing on the joy, the chaos disperses. You're not left with what's actually happening to you, or you're grumpy because you're actually focusing on I'm going to say flowers over wet. Does that make sense? I'm trying to get my words.
You're in the creative flow, right?
Yeah. And when you're in that joy, that chaos doesn't happen. You don't see it. It just bounces off you. And I think that's the important thing to say, is to remember, is that when we're in flow, we're not focusing on the crazy, the discombobulation. We're focusing on serving and doing what we love to do.
Yeah. And so I know we're about to wrap up and summarize these, but my last tip would be if chaos or crazy making thinking comes up, what can you do for yourself to use that as a red flag that says, I got derailed. I lost my creative flow. I lost my inspiration, and come back to it. Maybe all you need to do is put your hand on your heart and just say, what am I inspired to do right here, right now? Right? What am I inspired to do right here, right now? That actually could be a beautiful way to have your head and your heart speak with one voice.
I just had to giggle because I was, as I do, I was smiling, going, our first tip I wrote hand on heart, and our last tip hand on heart.
Hand on heart. Yep, that's the bookend.
Yep, that's it. And I know, I know we've shot by, and I don't even know if there's any blooming tips apart from when I look down on my piece of paper, I go, well, just had a conversation. But we're going to wrap up today as our top tips to find joy in all that you do. And so if you didn't grab your note-taking device, grab it now, because we're going to condense what we just said into 5 minutes.
The Coles Notes version of this episode.
That's the one. So the first one I had was hand on heart.
Yeah.
Was that grounding exercise that Moira did? Now, when Moira expressed her words of that exercise, I just felt like I was wrapped up in a beautiful bubble, but there was a lot of little tips in there.
Yeah, that whole heart coherence piece.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so just the short version, just put your hand on a heart, remind yourself that you live here, which when we got one of the tea bags says, may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Yeah.
And I love that hand on heart. Yeah.
Me too. Me too. The next one I wrote down was ask for help. So you can ask for help. You can ask your own self, your higher self, the collective energy that we co-create when we come into heart coherence, or physically reaching out for, call Debz and Moira, or
what about us?
Yeah. Ask for help. It's such an important part because it's always so important to appreciate that you are worthy of asking for what it is you need, right?
I think the thing is also, I love that ask for help, but also you can ask yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can, and I love that Moira said that as well, because you don't have to ask external people. You can actually just go within. And that's the part that allows you to find that joy. The next tip I've written down is celebrate life.
Yes.
And the beautiful words that Moira says is, I get to do this. I get to choose this. I get to the opportunity to do. So if we're celebrating life, life celebrates with us.
Yeah. And that's what you said about that allows us to be present and poised when the more we celebrate and say, I get to, that there's such a confidence building and an empowering energy about that. Yeah. Which, good foundation for joy.
Absolutely.
The one that I have here is when you talked about standing in the eye of the storm. That's where calmness is right in the eye of the storm. So you can stay calm and present and poised in the eye of the storm or in the center of the vortex. Stuff can happen around you. You don't have to buy into it or get carried off into it or get derailed by it, right?
I love that. You don't have to jump into someone else's storybook. Which we often think we do have to help.
We can help, but we don't need to get embroiled in it, right?
That's right. We can help with a different angle instead of just going all guns a-blazing.
Yes.
The next one I had was, what does joy mean to you?
Yeah, I like this one. I think this is an important one.
And I think acknowledging top tips to find joy in all that you do. What does it mean to you? Because we're all different, and it's important to know it's your definition. We're going to do whatever your definition is, not
what's your flavor of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's just a word. Yeah.
And then that made me, the next one I wrote down was don't compare yourself to others. So you
Yes.
can listen to other people's definitions. And that's when we were talking about Deb doesn't like the word joy. It triggers her. Don't compare
Does.
yourself to others.
Yeah, don't
That's-
compare yourself to me. But thank you for staying listening to us. If you didn't like my saying joy, how can you not have joy? Joy's my name and joy I live for. It's just a word, people. It's just a word in my world. But I love that is don't compare yourself to others because that's a crazy train that you get on.
Yeah.
That's a crazy train we get on.
Yeah.
What the next one I've got is pick and choose what you want to do or what you want to bring into your world. And this is where you control your own world. So if you want to bring a certain type of person in, a certain joy, whatever that is for you, this is your choice that you're ruling your own life, that you get to choose to do what lights you up.
Mm-hmm. And that's when I brought in that question, how does this make me feel about me? So it's like when you're bringing things in, how does it make you feel about you?
Yeah,
And
and I think I was just going to say that goes with that. Is it good for me?
yes, is it good for me? Is it good for the other or the others? And do I want to?
Yeah.
And all three of those have to be a resounding yes.
Mm.
Because if there's any wobble, how does it make me feel about me? Well, it feels like I have to do this because that person wants me to. That's a wobble, and that's actually also a no.
Yeah, that's it. No, beep, beep, beep,
Yep.
beep. Out we go. That's one.
Yep. Definitely.
The next one I had, the next one I've got move with the times, and I gave two scenarios of old people with banks and checks and one of people in prison. And
Yeah.
so if you're just, they're actually two worlds apart, different people, but they're still the same. It's the same scenario for that. So you either move with the times or you don't. So it's entirely up to you. Times are going to move. And when we talked about that, I talked about old people. We don't have checks anymore in New Zealand. You're not allowed to write a check. And so it's definitely causing a bit of chaos with the old people. But there is some joy in that. They're finding that celebration because they're having people who are being able to pick them up and take them to the bank, and they're having that companionship. So there is blessings out of all situations when we're ready to look at it.
Yeah. And it's the thing is that it's the needing to adapt. Things are changing. So we needing to adapt. And that's what your point is to keep moving. And even keep moving could just be a really tiny, tiny step. Like you're going to just write down, I commit to, or I decide to, or I will flow with this. Right?
Yeah. Just when Moira said a step, just do one tip we're giving you today. One tip.
Yeah.
Today I choose to smile at people. Today I choose to replace every time I have a negative thought, replace it with a positive thought.
Mm-hmm.
Or look at when I find something, find the gratitude in that situation. It's allowing you to move with
At your pace.
yeah.
Yeah. The talking about the needing to adapt and things changing was that I had said to acknowledge your power and take ownership. So it's kind of like whatever's happening, we as spiritual beings are actually in the right place at the right time, even if our thinking head may be telling us, oh, this is terrible or this is awful, or no, I'm here, so therefore I have the capacity to deal with this, and I'm going to keep taking those steps and flowing and right, adjusting, course correcting, whatever it is that's needed.
I love that, and I choose to. I get to. I love to do things.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next tip I've got is nothing is permanent.
Mm-hmm.
And we evolve. Who you were at the start of this podcast is different to who you are now, because
Yep.
I've given you some tips. You're like, oh, that's easy, or I don't want to do that, or I'm triggered by whatever it is. But nothing is permanent, and it's about moving with that. So everything passes through when we choose to let it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The next one I have is about our PEMS check-in, checking in with all four pillars of your well-being, your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. And so it's if any of those four pillars are off, it may be a wee bit difficult to find joy. And so it's about using compassion and self-love and self-care and self-soothing to ease that. If you're feeling emotionally out of whack, then maybe you need to get a hug, even if it's just hugging yourself, to actually kind of say, okay, good, now I feel that, and maybe joy will be more present or uplifting or making your heart sing, or if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that the beautifulness, I was actually about to jump to the next one, but I'll go back to being grateful.
Yes.
Now, I know we talk about celebrating, but being grateful you get to open your eyes in the morning, be grateful you get to shut your eyes at night, be grateful that you had a conversation that was a tough conversation that you've been avoiding for so long. Be
Yeah.
grateful you get to experience something when you're sitting in your own space and time, and compared to having somebody else there. Be grateful for those opportunities that come your way, and to be grateful that you have some joy in your world, that you get this opportunity to celebrate life.
Yeah, because you're creating it. That's the fundamental piece in all of this, is that even when things are a bit uncomfortable or a bit of a challenge, it's like, yeah, but you're creating this. And so you also get to create there's a gift here. There is that actually, to me, helps find joy in everything also. It's like, I get to do this, I get to overcome this challenge, I get to walk around this obstacle, right?
I know. and it is that. It's just, but when I say that, like I say gratitude because I just naturally think it. I don't think about it. But I do remember having conversations. He was like, "What do you mean? What do you have to say you're grateful for? Grateful for what?" And I was like, "What? What do you mean? You can't be grateful for anything." And it is. It's just appreciating what's around you,
Yeah.
whether it's the little stuff or the big stuff. Yeah.
Which is helped hugely when you remember to stay present, because you can you find the gratitude for the water that you're drinking, for the hot water in your shower, for the warm blanket that's covering you as you wake up in the morning. Because there's no limit to it when we actually allow ourselves to stay present. If we're not present, then we forget and we take these things for granted, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Everything's a miracle.
We do take it for granted. Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't that an Einstein quote? It's something that says there are two ways to live life. One is to think nothing's a miracle, and the other one is to think everything's a miracle.
Oh, I love that. Two ways to live your life. I'm Googling it. There are two ways to live your life. I love that. I don't need to look at it. Oh, it is Einstein, of course. There are two ways to live your life.
There you go.
One is though nothing is a miracle. The other is though everything is a miracle.
There you go. Hey, that was good. That was good. I'm proud
very
of myself.
well. Very well. And see, yeah.
I love Einstein quotes. And so you can even, this is because my last tip was we opened with hand on heart and we're closing with hand on heart. Unless Deb might sneak in another tip here.
Could be possible. Deborah doesn't know it yet.
but we just feel into that. You can put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath and say, I choose to see everything as a miracle. I choose to see everything that's is a miracle, is as a miracle. And that to me, just there's that sense of lightheartedness, play, fun, joy.
That beautiful, yeah. And I know Moira also said, what am I inspired to do right here, right now?
Yes.
And that pulls you back into, knowing that hand on heart, but all that pulls you back into your thinking brain, but also that beautiful part about may your head and heart speak with one voice.
Yeah. Yes. May your head and heart speak with one voice. I love that one. That one just I'm gonna have to laminate this one and put it somewhere very prominent.
That's something I keep. Yeah, that's bloody good.
Bloody good.
And so that's our top tips to find joy in all that you do. They were beautiful. They were so different. And look, we know. Look, listen to me. Look, where's that look? Look, people. We know that Christmas is right there.
Mama Deb here speaking.
We know that it's right here. Let Christmas be what you desire it to be.
Yeah.
Don't do what everyone else wants to do. Do what lights you up. If there's two people in the household, do what feels great for you both. If there's five, if you've got an extended family, wherever you go, find that joy in what you do, because Christmas is a beautiful time when we're ready to look at it. And if you've got any pain or anything associated with it, or stress, or triggers associated with Christmas, just find the blessings you've got with you right here, right now. Find that gratitude, because that will help you with your joy. And as we know, may your head and heart speak with one voice. But what a beautiful, let it be your day. Let Christmas, or actually it's not just a day, is it? It's a whole what's the big build up is all of bloom in December. But let it be what you find some joy in.
Yeah.
Because this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
So as we sum up today, there were some great little tips, and I know Moira just did her heart coherent at the start, and there was a gazillion tips in there that I stopped actually writing because I just wanted to listen. So go back and listen to these and find what one works for you, and just for today, just start implementing that. Just for today, bring that in. I'm going to give this a go. And even just saying I'm going to give it a go, you've got certainty that you're going to give it a go and it's going to stick, and you just keep moving forward and do it. And then when you're ready, bring in another one. So joy is all around us when we choose to open our eyes and our hearts. I think that's important to know.
Yeah.
So if you like today, what I'm going to do is the next step is just find one that you liked, and then drop that in our chat, in our Facebook page, and let us know what one's your favorite one, because there's not a lot here today to choose from. We didn't give you 30 or 40 tips. We gave you some golden nuggets. So tell us what one you really enjoyed and how it's helping your world. So that's us signing off. You're welcome to listen to all our last episodes. If not, you have to wait a week for our next one. And our next one will be, will it be just before New Year?
Yes.
Yeah, before New Year. So we'll do one more before we sign off and say see you later to 2024. But thank you, listeners, for joining us here today. Thank you for allowing us to give our top tips to finding joy in all that you do. As you can tell, we're joyful. I'm saying joyful, crikey.
Listen to that. We've got a convert here.
So there's a change in word. We appreciate what we get to do and we choose to do. So thank you for being on our journey. That's Moira and Debz in our deliciously motivated mindset conversation, signing off for our top tips to find joy in all that you do. Thank you, Moira. Thank you,
Debz. Thank you, Internet. Thank you, listeners.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.